Hey guys, Pastor Tim here. Hope you're ready for another video from our youth group at Lighthouse Baptist Church. If this is your first time watching a video or you're trying to catch up on a missed lesson, we hope that this video is a blessing to you and helps you grow in your relationship with Jesus Christ.
Let's be honest, don't raise your hand, but like how many of you guys, you want a quote-unquote wonderful someday, whether that's having a house with a husband or wife, and it doesn't have to be a picket fence or anything like that. I don't think that's the dream anymore. How many of you guys, be honest, you actually just you'd rather have like a high-rise apartment or something. You want to live a city life. No, yeah? Not in I'm not saying this city, not San Antonio. I will say, yeah, not this city, not even New York. I've been to New York. It's nice to visit, but when I was in Korea, I wouldn't mind living the city life in Korea. It was actually very nice. It was mostly clean and stuff too. So the whole language thing, that might be a problem. But everybody, you want a wonderful someday, whatever that may be. Now, everything we kind of been talking about this, so you know this, but everything you do today is preparing you for that someday, for that future. And that's what your youth, that's what the teenage years is all about. I think of Psalm 1, Gigi, all right? I think of Psalm 1 where it talks about the things you're supposed to avoid. And oftentimes you hear that verse, blessed is the man who walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor seateth in the seat of the scornful. That's definitely a great principle to apply in your youth. Like, hey, you guys okay back there? Why are you covering your face with your Bible, man? Oh, okay, I was like, yeah, whispering. I was like, okay. All right. So, how many guys understand those are good things to do now to help prepare yourself for the future? All the things you're doing right now is going to prepare you for the adult you're going to be some days, even if you're already technically an adult, Amethyst. You're still preparing. You're still growing. You're still learning. All right, our first point we're going to cover tonight is the truth of sowing and reaping. Okay, how many guys know this? All right, how many can you quote it for me?
Okay,
You reap what you don't sing a song, all right? You reap what you sow? Was that? Okay. You reap what you sow. Someone explain to me, what does that mean, ladies?
So, you get out of it what you put into it.
Not just you get out of it what you put into it, but what is the principle? You reap what you sow.
If you're acting badly towards something, you're gonna act badly towards it.
Yeah, you're going to, if you're sowing bad seeds, quote unquote, you're going to receive bad seeds. If you're sowing good seeds, quote unquote, you're going to receive good fruit, not seeds. Okay. And that's the same thing when it comes to your relationships. Okay, friendships, dating relationships, marriage, whatever it is, you'll reap what you sow. Negative or positive, it's about what you're planting. All right. The struggle usually for many people, not just teenagers, but even adults as well, is the wait. Okay, the waiting for that wonderful someday. And that's in that waiting, that's when you might be prompted to want to be impatient, to want to make a hasty decision outside the will of God that's going to negatively impact the harvest or the reaping you may have. So really quickly, we're just going to cover a couple of these. All right, number one, the harvest or what you reap, it always comes. Whether or not you're sowing bad seeds or good seeds, whether or not you're sowing seeds of like bad relationships, bad friendships, or good ones, there's going to come a harvest for that. Okay, so unlike what may happen when you plant an actual seed, maybe you don't do anything correctly and nothing ever comes out of it. When it comes to your spiritual life, what you sow, you will have a harvest from that. Number two, the harvest always requires a wait. We generally understand that. Nothing is just going to happen instantaneously. Patience is a virtue, okay? Especially when it comes to relationships, okay? The person you may be interested, guess what? They're growing too, all right? Nobody's going, Mr. Perfect, or as we've been talking about before, Mr. or Mrs. Right, yeah, they may seem that way to you, but in reality, they're not. They're not the perfect one. They're not the right one. They're growing. I'm not saying they're not the one for you, okay, but they're growing. And there's a weight involved with that. And that's kind of when a lot of relationship stress comes about, is when you start to hold an unrealistic expectation of the other person, not understand the reality is we're both growing, okay? And that's one of the biggest things. If you ever do marriage counseling in the future when you're about to get married and so forth, a pastor's going to have you understand is, hey, try not to have not just unrealistic expectations, but try not to hold too much expectations like where you're just judging what they do all the time, okay? There are some good ones to have, like, I can expect my husband to help provide for the family and stuff like that, but don't hold unrealistic expectations. Number 3, harvest requires determination. Don't get weary, as it says in the book of Galatians. Don't get weary in well-doing, okay? I don't think any of us have tried farming, but how many guys have ever tried a garden, planting something? How many guys have tried a garden and failed? How many guys have failed because you didn't try really at all? All right, wait, we got some honest people tonight. That's great. All right, same thing with your relationships. All right, I'm talking friendships and stuff as well, not just dating relationships, but if you want any relationship in your life to thrive, friendship, dating, marriage, it requires work. All right, just because you say I do at the altar one day does not mean everything is going to be sunshine and roses. No, it requires work, okay? In friendships, it requires work as well. If you're not putting any time, Gigi, are you okay? All right, guys, stop. All right, I don't have to separate you, okay? All right, so it requires work. It requires effort, okay? Especially in, I don't want to say the more important, but understand there's a difference between just friendship and then there's dating. Ooh, that's like the next level, right? Then there's, of course, we'll put like engagement, all right? And then marriage. As it levels up, guess what? It's going to require more work, okay? Not necessarily to maintain, but because there's more expected and there's more responsibility, okay? Harvest, I think I know here, always reflects the seed. I'm sorry that went off the screen there a little bit. If you sow an apple seed, you are expecting to get what? Apple. If you are sowing I'm blanking on other seeds, a banana seed, you're going to get, I don't know. Tomato seed, you're going to get tomatoes. Thank you, Lily. Any vegetable you find at H-E-B, there's a seed, okay? If you sow that, you get that. 3, 2, 1. The idea here, of course, is you get what you plant. You reap what you sow. All right? If you're only investing in relationships that you ought not to invest in, where for you guys it most likely be, hey, you're investing in friendships or a dating relationship with someone who cares not for the things of God, cares not to live for God, you can't expect good fruit to come of that. In fact, you can expect it more often to have the effect on you of also not caring for the things of God or caring about God and things like that. That's why it's important that you sow or invest in the correct types of relationship. And then the harvest always involves outside forces. What are the outside forces, and we've seen them today, that affect a harvest? Grace. No, a harvest, like an actual harvest. Gigi. Rain, we've seen it today. What else could affect outside forces, Jether? Tornadoes. Yeah, tornadoes. Josiah. Heat, if it's too hot, if it's a drought. All right, and then Amethyst, last one. Yeah, that could affect the harvest and the harvester. All right, so like sun and rain affect the farmer's seed, so your friends, your church, your influences, and your daily lifestyle impacts the seeds you're planting in your relationship, right? If you're choosing the wrong friends, that's going to affect your harvest. If you're, whether or not you're in the wrong church or you're just not really involved or part of your church, that's going to affect the harvest. Whatever influences, I know Grace mentioned social media, that could be a negative influence on your harvest if you're following the wrong social media influencers, and obviously your daily lifestyle. All right, so that's the truth of sowing and reaping. Question is, what is impacting you? What type of seeds, what type of environment are you allowing to affect your harvest? All right, give it a second. Numero dos is a wonderful someday comes by sowing the right seeds today. All right, don't start thinking, I'll prepare myself to become, the right man for my future wife to marry when I am 20-something. No, you start preparing yourself today. All right, gentlemen, You are making decisions today that's going to help you become the man that your wife will one day marry. Ladies, you are making decisions today that are going to prepare you to become the lady your husband will one day marry. Okay? So there's a couple things there. Don't think you have to be perfect now, but also don't think, oh, I can just wait. No, you need to make decisions to help yourself grow today. If you rush God's timing, get into serious relationships too soon, and try to reap fruit too early, you won't have a good harvest. Okay? And when people try to rush an exclusive relationship, especially as teenagers, it can lead to some very bad harvest in the future. Good marriages don't just happen automatically, all right? The whole, romantic movie, love at first sight, and we mentioned Hallmark Channel a couple times here. That stuff doesn't happen in real life, usually. I'm sure there's a case out there where the person stranded on the side of the road, farmer, baking competition, all that stuff. I'm sure there's one person. If Damari one day in the future meets her future husband at some sort of baking competition in a rural town, all right.
She's going to start stranding herself on
Please do not purposely strand yourself on this.
It always happens by chance.
Oh, my car's broken. All right.
You can't force the salon.
There you go. Anyway, back to what I was going to say. We'll edit this later, Ethan. Good marriages don't happen automatically. Love is a choice. All right? You choose to love. Yes, you feel feelings. You feel like you're in love. But at the end of the day, true love is you choosing to love that person. All right? Because guess what? Even when you're married, you won't always feel in love with your spouse. Okay? You can ask your parents, to be honest with you, and they'll be honest with you. All right? I'm pretty sure none of you guys ever really doubt that your parents love one another. But if they're being honest, they can tell you, yeah, there are times where I may not feel like I'm in love with my spouse. That does not mean I don't love my spouse. Okay? I love Miss Christina all the time. She's perfect, okay? But there are times when she probably doesn't feel in love. Okay? Feel in love with me, okay? Huh? You call her up, you can let her know, all right? She'll be like, oh, let me tell you about the other day. That's what she'll probably say. All the deets, all the tea there. So you don't always feel in love, but you choose to love each other, okay? It doesn't just happen automatically. It works. It takes work. All right, you plant it, you grow it, you harvest it. A great marriage happens by choice. So, obviously, what kind of seeds do you want to plant for a healthy marriage? All right, so that's what we're going to go over here. You guys have a couple blanks there. What kind of seeds make a healthy marriage? This is not an exclusive list. All right, I'm sure you could read something or you've heard other people go on a topic like this, and they'll probably give you some other ones. That's fine, but this is what we have for this evening. So you see on your notes there, a great marriage, number one, is made of trust. All right, what does that mean? A great marriage is made of trust. Grace. Okay, Lily? No lying, have integrity. You know what? I like that you said that. But number one, not just about trusting your spouse. You guys should be, if you're going to marry this person, you should feel like I trust this person. How many guys agree with that? All right, you should. But it's not just about trusting your spouse, but it's also about, are you trustworthy? Okay? If you're engaging in this relationship, and it starts even at just the friendship stage or the beginnings of dating phase, and you find yourself just holding things back for whatever reason or hiding things or whatever, those aren't good seeds to start planting, right? You want to be open. You want to be trustworthy, okay? The seed to plant is truthfulness, or as Lily said, a better word to put for that is integrity, okay? Proverbs 11, verse 3, integrity, says, the integrity of the upright shall guide them, but a perverseness of transgressors shall destroy them. So integrity means, hey, be honest. Be real. Don't sneak around things. Be a trustworthy person, okay? I'm not saying you're perfect, but you should, with your spouse of all people, be the person you're most open around, okay? Gentlemen, this is going to reveal some things, okay? Your wife is probably going to be like, wow, I didn't realize you were so weird. But you know what? She'll love you anyway, okay? But it's good. You can be open with this person, all right? Be open, trustworthy. Miss Christina has never said that about me, by the way, so. She may be concerned for She may be concerned for our future son. I don't know. All right, so seed number 2, a great marriage is made of commitment. All right, what part of the marriage service does this come forward when the marriage vows? Not I do. You're Joanna? Till death do us part. All right, so a great marriage is made of commitment. All right, what seeds grow commitment? That would be surrender. Okay? You need to have a commitment. If you're not committed to your marriage, it's not a good thing. Okay? Gentlemen, okay? Let me put it this way. If you're in the future, you're married, or even if you're dating someone, okay, do you think it's going to help them feel secure in their relationship with you if you act in a way which to yourself you're like, oh no, yeah, I'm not thinking, but if you conduct yourself in such a manner that it could be seen that you flirt with a lot of girls that you happen to come in contact with. A little too friendly. You love joking around with. You have more friends who happen to be girls than friends who happen to be guys. This isn't an across-the-board thing, but just this is an example, okay? If you want to show commitment to your future wife, you want to help her understand that, hey, she's the only one for you. All right, that doesn't mean you don't interact with any other female ever. No, but you have to watch how you behave yourself around the opposite gender as well. Ladies, same thing, right? There are girls that when I was in college, that I knew from college and even as an adult, that as I began to date Miss Christine, I just made a point, hey, I'm not texting that person. Not because I don't want anything to do with them, but if I am going to text them, I'm going to text their husband, or I'm going to text their boyfriend and say if they weren't married or something like that. One, because I'm trying to do, for that boyfriend or that husband, hey, I want them to know, hey, I'm not going to be communicating with your wife without you knowing or anything like that. This is kind of an aside, but it's just kind of help you understand in general, all right, just a generality. Don't take this like, oh, pastor said this. But in general, it is the woman in the relationship that will often struggle with insecurities when it comes to commitment, okay? Whether or not they're based in reality or not. But gentlemen, at those points, it's not time for you to be frustrated and be like, oh, I would never do, how could you ever think? No, you need to be understanding that, hey, this is something that I need to not only protect my wife from, but protect myself from as well, because I care about my wife and I want her to know I am fully committed to her. You guys follow me there? And there's more nuance, we can get into that. But anyway, the seed that grows commitment is surrender. If you are fully surrendered to Christ, that's going to help you be fully surrendered unto your future spouse as well. Seed number 3, a great marriage is made of intimacy. Okay? I think of the song, Just the Two of Us or whatever. But anyway, the seeds that grow intimacy is purity. Okay? Pretty simple, right? Romans 13, verse 4. I'll give you guys a second before I throw up that verse in case you're writing this down. A great marriage is made of intimacy. And the seeds that grow that are purity. Hebrews 13, verse 4. Marriage is honorable in all, in the bed undefiled, but whoremongers and adulterers God will judge. Okay? This is often what you guys see used a lot, especially when you go to camp and stuff, to definitely go against like, hey, you got to remain pure, or hey, sex outside of marriage is sin. That is not what God wants. You guys follow that? But here's what I want you guys to understand. You grow your intimacy in marriage by planting purity now. Making decisions now like, hey, I'm going to remain pure. Okay? And obviously we understand it's more than just, oh, I'm going to keep the marriage bed undefiled. No sex before marriage. No, it's like, hey, what things, gentlemen, are you allowing to come before your eyes that you're dwelling upon when no one else is looking? All right, ladies, what things are you allowing yourself to read that may cause your mind to wander about this or that? It's not just a guy issue, it could be a girl issue as well. But you start planting those seeds of purity now by reserving yourself for that just one person. And here's the thing. Physically, and emotionally. It's not just a physical thing. Purity also has to do with emotions as well. All right? That's why I encourage, once again, this isn't like across the board, but I encourage you guys to have outside of your family, outside of your spiritual leaders, that your closest confidants, the people you just pour your soul out to, be people of the same gender. Okay? Because you open up a can of worms almost if you allow someone of the opposite gender to be your sole confidant, just pouring your heart out, and then you resist them and say, oh, but I'm not interested in you. Or we're just good friends. You friend zone them. All right? One, that's not doing that person of the opposite gender any favor, because they might be, because of that, they were thinking a different way probably. All right? But say if you do open yourself up even with someone you're dating, but it's just the beginning of dating, all right? And you're investing yourself very exclusively, and you're starting to invest yourself emotionally, like you're saying, things, maybe you're not even saying I love you, but you're acting like you're a married couple already. You've only been dating for 2 weeks, okay? Sounds silly, but it happens, especially with a lot of younger teenagers, or just teenagers in general. But what's the danger of is when you start investing yourself emotionally too soon, is that if it inevitably does not work, you have that much more pain, okay? Because you gave your heart away, because you acted as if you're already at this stage you weren't even ready for yet as a 16-year-old, as a 17-year-old. So it's not just a physical thing you need to guard yourself against. It's also an emotional thing you need to guard yourself against. All right, we need to do these last two really quickly. A great marriage is made of love, all right? L-O-V-E, all right? The seed for this is obviously loving Christ. True love is a choice, and the seed that grows this is loving Christ. Matthew 22 talks about to love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, soul, and mind. This is the first commandment. But the second commandment, it goes on, is to love thy neighbor as thyself, okay? And that also includes your future spouse, okay? So it all starts not just with loving your spouse, but with loving Christ as you should. Are you investing in your relationship with Christ? Because that's going to help you grow and invest in your relationship with your future spouse as well. You practice marital love by loving God first and foremost, and you love God through loving others. Pastor Kern says that a lot. All right, and our last seed is a great marriage is made of submission, okay? We know the verses where it talks about wives submitting to your husbands. But husbands, you even have to submit to your wives in many ways as well. Most young adults spend a good amount of time fighting for their way, okay? In friendships, relationships, that's the wrong seed. Hey, I want this way, I want that way, okay? No, you want to be submissive. And the seed for that, as you see already up there, is selflessness, all right? Are you going to have a healthy marriage if you only insist on having your way? Okay. Are you going to have a healthy friendship if you only ever insist on having your way with your friends? Okay. What do we call that thing when, one person wants one way and the other person wants another way, but you need to come to a resolution? That's called compromise. Guys, compromise, compromise is a very important word when it comes to your future relationships, and especially to your marriage, okay? You have to compromise in some points, okay? Whatever it is you may want to do, guess what? It's not all about you. Guys, and that's only going to get, that only becomes more prevalent, and I'm going to discover this soon, when kids enter the picture, okay? A lot more compromise and stuff like that, because you have to think about more people. But if you love your wife or your husband, like I love Miss Christine, I understand, we're about to have a kid, okay? I have to be more selfless, okay? Sometimes when your flesh is starting and you're like, I'm tired, I feel like I'm always doing this and doing that for them. And gentlemen, be very careful. If you start to play that game and you mention, I do this and that, trust me, the wife's going to have a list of things like, oh, but what about, don't play that game, okay? It's not safe, all right? But you want to be selfless. You want to be submissive. Think of the other's need above your own. Romans 12 verse 10 says, be kindly affectionate one to another with brotherly love and honor, preferring one another. That doesn't mean you never think about yourself. No, you want to care for yourself. All right? You can't care for your family, men, if you don't care for yourself. All right? Ladies, you can't care for your family if you don't care for yourself as well. But You want to be selfless in nature as Christ was selfless as well, giving of himself. The Bible says, husband, love your wives as Christ loved the church. Christ gave himself. All right, wives, to be submissive unto your husband. All right, be selfless across the board. All right, so those are some good seeds. The best time to prepare for a great marriage is right now, and the way to prepare is to sow the seeds that will reap a wonderful someday. Think about this, guys. You will be attracted to someone like yourself. I'm not saying your mirror image. Don't get me wrong. All right, but you will be attracted to someone not too dissimilar from yourself. So think about that for a second. What type of seeds are you planting in your life today? All right, and is that going to be the type of person you want to marry in the future? If you discover, hey, you're often a deceptive person, all right, or you're often prone to want to push the line or to rebel and stuff like that. Is that someone you want to marry in the future? Think about that, okay? Not only does your character attract people of similar character, but it also is contagious, okay? So if you're planting good seeds and that's growing good character within you, that is most often and not going to attract other people of good character as well. And hopefully that might be that Mr. Right or Mrs. Right in your future.